The girth of his what?
You're like a father to me. Hey!
And go.
What's up everyone, Adam from FWCI here, and I just saw the Thunderbolts movie. The latest Marvel... What's up everyone, Adam from FWCI here, and I just saw Marvel's Thunderbolts! And I'm going to do a spoiler review, so if you haven't seen the movie, I recommend you go and see it, because I absolutely loved it, and I was shocked at how good this movie was. But I will be talking spoilers, so if you don't want spoilers, or if you haven't seen the movie, go away. If you want to support my channel further, go to patreon.com/FWCI. Now, I have a reaction channel. This is a reaction channel. I don't react to the Marvel movies because I'm a Marvel fan. I love the Marvel movies, and it's been a rough few years, I think. I call the current phase that we're in phase cobble, because all they're trying to do is cobble together some sort of coherent story across a bunch of movies, when you got all the shit that went on with Kang the Conqueror, with whatever his name is, Jonathan Majors, that's him. All the Jonathan Majors controversy, the passing of William Hurt, which I'm assuming probably had a big impact on this movie. I know they had to do big time rewrites, and the character of Taskmaster was written out of this movie, but with all that stuff considered, it was still a very, very concise and well put together movie. I've heard people say that this recaptured the magic of Marvel, and honestly, I don't know if it recaptured the magic of Marvel, but it was a lunging step in the right direction. It just felt like all the characters that we spent time with in this movie, for the most part, most of them, we had a lot of desire to see more of that character. I wanted to see more Yelena. I wanted to see more Red Guardian, things like that. I wanted to see more US Agent, specifically. I just thought he was great in the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show. So this is what the Marvel Universe should be able to do more with. We've got a whole bunch of characters that people were interested in a number of years ago. We can bring them all back and try and do this team up. And like I say, I think they did it very well. If you compare that to a lot of previous MCU movies, everything feels so disjointed. It takes a lot of brain power to kind of remember where you're up to with everything. This movie didn't feel like that for some reason. So I've been speaking vaguely. I'm going to get into spoilers from now on, so you can see the spoiler warning wherever it is. Spoilers. Let's talk about it. Let's start with the after credits scene. Honestly, they kind of spoiled it themselves, because they had to put a credit for certain musical scores in the credits of the movie, even though we hadn't heard that score yet, and then it pops up. The Fantastic Four score, which, honestly, the end credit scene is very predictable, whatever. But with that being said, I'm excited for the Fantastic Four movie, so it was nice to see that it's on the way. They are on the way to Earth. And can I also say that long end credit scene with all the banter? Loved it. Loved the comedy in this movie. What this movie did great is every different genre that it tried to dip its toe into, it seemed to do successfully. There was no lame parts of this movie. We had some very, very heavy topics around mental health that were addressed pretty thoroughly throughout this movie in all different ways. Like, it was a very thorough explanation of mental health and, emotional distress and problems like that. Then we got the comedy that was hilarious. Alexei was hilarious throughout this entire movie. US Agent John Walker, he was hilarious. Then at different points of the movie, they were completely heartbreaking. The action, especially the scene with Sentry, where he's just poof, 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 poof. Loved it. I love the action scene at the beginning where they go to the location where they find Bob, and US Agent, with all of his, military training, was really trying to lead the charge. Like, I just loved how much credit they gave all of these characters with their powers. Probably Ghost was the only character that didn't get, with the exception of Taskmaster, of course. Ghost was probably the only one who got maybe lost a little bit in the background, but that character's powers are so specific. She was still such a pivotal part of the movie, especially when it came to the action scenes and things like that. And the character was still pleasant enough and enjoyable enough to the point where it didn't feel like there was just an extra character hanging on. And I wonder if that's why they got rid of the character of Taskmaster. Like, there's really nothing for this character to do. Florence Pugh has leading character energy for sure. She was so good in this. Her acting, again, all the different variety of acting, the comedy, the tragedy, everything in between, she nails it. And she shines as Yelena in every single movie. So glad to see Florence Pugh and Yelena Belova continue on in the MCU. Sebastian Stan as Bucky Barnes, he was good. I thought he was going to be a bit of a throwaway character, but when you think about it, the logic of him being a part of this team, it really hit, and they didn't lean too much into it, but there was a moment there where Bucky gives a speech about empathizing with this group of being like, hey, I want to do well, but nobody believed me because of my reputation, and it just seemed to fit perfectly into this movie. And then we got a low-key Winter Soldier scene of him on the motorbike. Just a great addition to this, and a great connection and thread to the glory days of the MCU. David Harbour was Alexei. He was just hilarious and entertaining throughout the entire thing. He just nails it. It's got to be hard for actors doing a different accent and having to do a lot of different dialogue in that, but he is just effortless in this. Such a joyous character and very entertaining throughout the entire film. Wyatt Russell played John Walker. Love it. Love it. Love John Walker, love Wyatt Russell, love US Agent. The whole concept of that character I find very intriguing and entertaining, and the way he has evolved in this movie was absolutely perfect. They took away a little bit of the seriousness, they added in a little bit more of the douchiness, and he just absolutely killed in this role. Then we got that absolutely heartbreaking scene where Sentry makes him look back on this, horrible, or Void, I guess, is making him look back on this horrible memory throughout his life. And it was such a sobering realization that he's a super soldier and he's a douchebag, but he's a very complex guy with a lot of heartache. And again, mental health and sadness and depression, big theme throughout this movie, without it becoming a depressing movie, which I think is a very genius way to present the information that they wanted to present. Hannah John Kamen as Ava Star / Ghost. She was fine in the movie. Like I say, she played her role very well. She didn't need to be a main character because we had a lot of emotional depth with Yelena and John Walker and Robert as well, Bob. A lot of emotional depth there. We'll talk about that. Olga Kurilenko? I think I said that right. We only saw Taskmaster in this movie for a very, very brief period of time, and I thought she was looking pretty good. Way better than she was in the Black Widow movie. I knew that they'd done a big rewrite and we weren't going to see much of that character. I was still shocked that she got wasted so early on, and especially after looking so entertaining and dominant in that little skirmish that they had at the beginning. Fatal skirmish, I guess. So I was actually disappointed to see that character get killed, because it looked like they'd finally found a bit of just the way the action was in that scene. I loved it. I don't have the actor's name here, but the actor that played Valentina's assistant, I feel like there was a lot more to that story there, because her story didn't really end up going anywhere. She was just a little bit of a plot device to get the heroes in the right place at the right time. So I think that with the full cut or the original script or original filming or whatever, that probably went in a different direction, but I liked her acting as well. And I liked that there was a morally guilt-ridden character among all these scumbag politician government types. So a big shout out to her, but the MVP of this movie was Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I mean, she is such a spectacularly good actor. The nuance that she shows, the humor that she can have, she can get quite ominous at times as well. I think I've never seen her in something that was like really, really heavy, but I do think that she killed it in this as Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. Not Fontaine, de Fontaine. And of course, she had her own plot going on throughout this movie where the government were trying to impeach her and, take away her power as the head of the CIA. And how do you think the ending went? Do you think she just pulled that bullshit explanation out of her asshole when she was showing everybody, showing the Thunderbolts off to the media? Because she was planning to get media there. I don't think the plan was for all that shit to happen. Was the plan to show off Sentry? Was the plan to, what was the timeline of all that? I've yet to figure it out, but I love the fact that she got the last laugh, and now she appears to be the director of the new Avengers? Is that what's going on here? And also Lewis Pullman as Robert Reynolds slash Sentry slash Void. He was... I'm a bit conflicted on him. I think he did a pretty good job as both Bob and Sentry, but I think the fact that his acting as Bob and his acting as Sentry were so polar opposite, it made it work. I can give the, and it's not that he's a bad actor, it's just my own personal kind of taste, I guess. There were some choices that he made that I didn't really vibe with, or it could just be a rewrite editing thing, who knows. But to see Bob and Sentry side by side, it looks like two completely different people. So I respect the fact that he's able to obviously not just act with his face and his voice, but with his body and his posture and everything that comes along with it. He was great as Sentry. I'd love to say he was great as Void, but you know, there's not a lot going on there. But the humor that we got throughout this is what really made me pay attention. The running joke about the Thunderbolts Pee-wee soccer team and how that kept getting brought up and who the sponsor was and everything like that. That was just perfect. It was kind of perfect. It really, again, took the edge off of the, like, intense emotional story that they were really telling, because everybody's gone through emotional issues in this. We had Yelena having some very, very uncomfortable, dark conversations early on with Robert, I think, at one point, and also with Alexei. Alexei was suffering as well. He was suffering with a bravado on, but he was suffering. And then the whole story of Robert Reynolds slash Sentry and his upbringing and how imbalanced it makes him mentally. It sounds like, is it manic depressive or bipolar disorder or something like that he has? Because the way he described it, I'm guessing it's very specific. Like the highs followed by extreme lows and then very little recollection of what sort of happened during that time. I don't know if that's a superhero power thing or if that's more of a mental health description of what it feels like to have these conditions. But I love the fact that Marvel and Disney made a movie where they seem to really treat mental health with a lot of respect. And when you think about it, the last movie we got was the Captain America Brave New World, where the ending was talking the villain down with an impassioned monologue slash speech. This one was a little bit different to that, but it made so much more sense that this the big outcome of this movie would, you know, take place inside Bob's mind or inside Sentry's mind or Void's mind. What the fuck are we calling him? Sentry Bob Void. But I just want to point out a couple of my favorite moments in the movie. Obviously, the big skirmish at the beginning in the incinerator room was... I enjoyed that. I loved all of them coming in. I like the motive that they gave them to go there and how it was all a big double cross. Just a very well put together scene, which I think they had to put together a lot of that in post. So shout out to the editors on this one. I love that any scene with Alexei, him in the limo was great. Him at the end talking, trying to convince that lady to buy Wheaties and like try to point out that he is on the Wheaties box. Just great comedy, and I don't need my Marvel movies to be all dark and always broody and stuff like that. Keep that in your DC universe. Give me a little bit of joy and fun in the Marvel one, and we got a ton of that in this, but probably a terrible segue to what I'm about to say, which is the scene during Void's rampage on New York City. I was truly touched when Red Guardian saved the little girl. And you could see they'd done such a perfect job establishing the complex relationship with Red Guardian and Yelena. And you could just see how much he was living in that moment, thinking of Yelena and loving Yelena while he gets to save this innocent child. And then, boom, fucking gone. That shook me to my core because I was in that moment. I was emotionally invested in that. I had a lump forming in my throat. I was like, I'm so happy that Red Guardian is getting to live out his dream of being an Avenger and being the real Captain America. And then they just took it away from us with the most devastating visual and audio effect. It was crushing at the time. When they brought the little girl back, when everything gets like undone at the end, I turned to my partner, I was like, oh, thank God she's back. Like, for a character that I'd only seen for like 10 seconds on screen, it rocked me as much as any of Thanos' snap victims. 100%, and I'm not even exaggerating this. It genuinely made my heart stop when she disappeared. So I don't have anything really bad to say about this. There's going to be a bit of nitpicking, and like I say, the guy who played Sentry, say what you want about that. I'm sure there's going to be mixed opinions, but hey, Marvel is Marvel. We're going to get gods every now and then, but it looks like the new Avengers. So we got what, 3 super soldiers, somebody who can morph through walls, and a Superman. That's not bad. Oh, and Yelena, of course. What am I talking about? I did think we might see Kate Bishop in this one, given her relationship with Yelena, but, you know, it is what it is. In fact, I think Kate Bishop's probably going to be joining the new Avengers at some point. That would make a lot of sense, so I'm sure that's going to be a thing. Is there a Hawkeye Season 2 coming? I liked Kate Bishop. I thought her story was great. So I don't give star ratings or anything on this channel, but I will say that this movie was really fucking good. And it's been a while since I've been able to really say that about a Marvel movie and not have like a whole bunch. Ironically, the movie with an asterisk next to it, there are very little asterisks next to this review. There's very little negative things to say about it. So go see it. That's my recommendation. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. If you have seen it, well, you probably have seen it because we just spoiled the shit out of it. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this one. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And go to patreon.com/FWCI if you'd like to support my channel further. And as always, everyone, be well, stay safe, look after your friends, ta-ta, and farewell.